Testing 1 2, mic check 1 2, and we are live for the 45th installment of the Sunday afternoon sessions. Thanks for joining me, where we talk all things Atlas Earth, what you've been up to in Atlas Earth, what's changed in the game over the last week. If you're new and you have questions, we can try to get an answer for those. All things right up front, I want to announce that where I'm at outside Philadelphia, we're in the middle of a big winter storm. So if I drop, that means my power went out. So just heads up. If I drop, I will try to get back on. But if I'm not back on in 10 minutes, that means that my power is out. So, but thanks for dropping by. I just wanted to get that out front. I put a message up earlier on the channel. Once again, thanks everybody for stopping by. Some changes have happened to the game in the last week. We can talk about those. Let's see who's in the chat. First of all, Poker Mouse slid in a super chat for says, please everyone check out Bronze and Anna at Dragon's Den Classics. Very well read and totally entertaining. Definitely worth a listen. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Poker Mouse, a great supporter of the channel. That's our other channel. My daughter and I started at the beginning of the year. And interestingly enough, the same book we're starting with, which is the Seven Dials Classic by Agatha Christie, just had a series. I guess it's a TV show, but it's broken up into 3 episodes on Netflix. So it's interesting. We're watching it while we're finishing up the book and kind of picking out what the differences are. But thank you very much for supporting the channel, Poker Mouse, and also thanks. It feels good when people enjoy what you're doing, right? So thanks a lot for that, as always. George is in the house. George asks, do you think a person could become the president by capturing mayorships? Most definitely. But I think the person that is going to become president has to concentrate on governorships. Okay. And obviously you get governorships by, collecting mayorships, right? But one thing I learned off of King of Queens by a little bit of discussion, and not any details, but he developed a specific plan on what states the governorships meant the most as far as getting most badge incomes. And that's how he went about taking over the presidentship, taking over governorship of specific states, which entailed a lot of traveling around. And I don't have any details, but he's talked loosely about it. Any of these people at the top end who take over different countries and states and everything, it involves a lot of traveling around. So a lot of travel money's put into that as well. So the direct answer to your question is in a roundabout way, yes. Taking over the presidentship of the United States, the plan has to be on taking over specific governorships, and to get governorships, you have to have mayorships. So hope that answers it, or at least doesn't make it any more muddy. Hey, I see Shaman 15s in the house, just looking forward in chat. Welcome. I've got my hot cup of coffee. We've been having snow for the last 6 hours, and it's still going out there. It's very blowy, light snow that's hard to shovel, and you can't make snowballs out of it or anything. So just kind of waiting for it to stop to get out there and, fix up my driveway a little bit. Southern Coin Hunters here says, hello all. I am now at 150 parcels. Need 4 more badges to get to that 15% badge boost. Sweet. Nice. Sharon asks, why are all the people dressed in space suits? That's their kind of logo icon. You're an explorer on Earth. That's why we have the little astronaut. That's their kind of logo kind of thing. Yeah, that's about all I can say on that. That's just why they're in spacesuits. So we had heard talk about possibly in the future being able to customize our little man or woman, our little person, right? But haven't heard any more details on that lately. Base Modified is here, live from Norfolk, Virginia. Hope everyone's having a warm and dry Sunday. I'm warm and dry because I'm in my house. If when I step outside to shovel snow, I won't be so warm and dry. But yeah, it's been a while since I've been over to Norfolk, since I got out of the Navy. But Hope you're doing well over there. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Giaco, Bonsara to you as well. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you happen to be in this fine world. I love it that people from around around the world, care to spend time and join us and talk Atlas Earth. So, welcome everyone. It still amazes me that some people will get up in the middle of the night, because like if they're from Australia or around that part of the world, it's like in the middle of the night over there. So, James says 2.5 months in and enjoying the game. Well, I'm glad. I'm almost 2 years in at this point. Still enjoying the game. Seen some changes lately. Thanks to a supporter of the channel who pinged me on this earlier. I found that in the arcade, all those games that previously were not marked as having expirations, which means like I've had a few games that I've been working on for over a year now, just trying to knock them down because they had such huge amounts that you needed. They've just been expired. Okay. So we can talk about that if you wish. I have a statement from Annalise on that, but if you want to talk about that, we can do that. Southern Coin Hunter says, I have someone coming at my mayorship. Should I keep saving first to tier jump or keep buying parcels every chance I get? Well, I think a lot of it depends upon how much Atlas bucks you get off of that mayorship. If it's a continual flow of Atlas bucks through people buying badges, yeah, I'd go ahead and fight for it. I'd break your tier and go ahead and fight for it. But if you don't hardly see any Atlas bucks from that mayorship as far as badge sales, then I would probably stick with the tier jumping. It's like I lost. So what I've been doing last week is I reinforced 2 of my mayorships with 25 parcels each, just to try and maintain. And I just let one of my mayorships that was taken away, a small one, hardly ever sold any badges. I'm just I'm not even fighting for it anymore. I am reinforcing the mayorships I do have that do sell badges on a weekly basis or every other week basis. I don't sell a huge amount of badges, but I do have enough to make it worth it, right? So I think it just all depends upon if you're getting any Atlas bucks off of it. Because in the end, you may get more if you sell a regular amount of badges. You may get more Atlas bucks than what you're losing as far as breaking tier, and it may be worth more. So, tips and tricks is here. Hello to you as well. James is from BC in Canada. Wow, I bet you it's cold up there. It's cold down here. I bet you it's even worse up there at this point. Let's see here. Skip info. What's the new update about? Well, like I said, it's the whole, if you haven't checked your arcade today, the old games, which you may have previously had a few left that didn't have an expiration date, have all been expired. Now, as far as I think Annalise put out a announcement earlier this week. Let me look in the announcements. Let's see here. Let's just take a look at this together. Sorry. Let's get my phone out of the way here. Says we have a new update. This update includes bug fixes and performance improvements for a smoother experience, plus Thai language support ahead of our upcoming Thailand map release. So that means they're going to release, the map will go live in Thailand. That doesn't mean it's live in Thailand, but it means people can go in and buy up land if you happen to be there on vacation or travel or whatnot. We're also preparing to launch a new version of Racer. So I think Annalise has been talking about that a little bit. I haven't been keeping up on that. So it's a different type of racing game. So kind of like how fishing was replaced, now Racer will be replaced. So the gameplay you know today is now called Racer Vintage, just like they did with fishing, right? And I had asked her on this, and she said they do anticipate or hope to make like a version of games available in the future that include the vintage form of the games, right? So, and then she goes on to say one more thing in this update, we're doing a small early test of our upcoming app redesign in select countries, and South Africa is up first. If you're in South Africa and notice a new look, you're included in the test. More updates are coming soon. We can't wait to share what's next. Okay, so that is the UI overhaul we've talked about, and they have been talking about over the last year that they've worked on, and they're just rolling it out to a small population just to test it, see what goes wrong, trying to fix things, when it goes live. So if you're in South Africa, let me know how it's going. If it's gone live, any details. Okay, that's good coffee. Lady Sharon says, good morning, taking a break from listening to the Storm Chasers. Yeah, my wife's got the Weather Channel on out there. Listen to everybody talk about the storm. Hope you're snug and warm where you are. Yeah, everything, knock on wood, everything's going well here. I just am not looking forward to going out and shoveling all the snow blowing all the snow. I fired up my snow blower on Friday, and it works. It's just got a small leak out of where the gas tank and fuel line would go into, but it won't prevent me from using it, though. So will have to be looked at come the springtime there. Happy Blue Dolphin, how all changes are you referring to? Just talked about that. Hakakai, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Hard to pronounce. Hello from Kansas City. Hello to you as well. Thanks for dropping by. Design Intent Studios is here. Greetings to you as well. Base Modified says, anyone in Africa get the new updates again? Annalise said it was an update out. Yep. We're just waiting here for some people. Recap from the post on Discord. I have a game that is only giving me my reward after midnight. I was concerned about getting a reward for a timed event. Yeah, I saw that, and I had asked. I didn't see whether you replied. That was in the purchase line, so I was just wondering, had you made a purchase, which would make you eligible for that line? Because if you hadn't made an in-game purchase, you wouldn't be eligible for that line, as far as I know. Annalise replied to Base Modified, they are waiting for a forced update before turning it on to make sure everyone is on the same app version. Okay. Makes sense that they would force an update on that kind of thing. Meaning that you would have to, you would log on and it would say, hey, you need to go to the App Store and, download the newest version, that kind of thing we run into once in a while. Lady Sharon says the result, well, I did get the reward at 1 in the morning. It did count on the ladder, but it didn't give me the extra Atlas bucks for doing it in time. Wah, wah, wah. At least you got it. CTDGen says, Connecticut showing some love and the snow has started. Be safe, anyone out there. Yeah, you're probably in the same situation as we are over here outside Philly. A lot of snow going around. Design Intent Studio says, it is very cold in Chicago. I imagine Chicago gets some rough winters. That's why they call it the Windy City, right? It gets all the lake effect, right? So I've been to Chicago a few times. I grew up in Indianapolis, so we'd go to Chicago once in a while. And of course, I went to Great Lakes boot camp. Broke Daryl says, with the parcel and referral happening, looks like Manning knew things were changing. Oh, that's the other thing that came out. We got the announcement that officially the referral program is getting turned off. It had been taken out of game last year at some point, mid-year. I don't know. It's been quite a while since they took it out of the game. But they've allowed anybody who still had old referral codes, it still worked. And I kept those in my show notes of all of my episodes. I stopped really talking about it a lot because it's there if people wanted to use it. I used to use it getting started in the game. I told people about it a lot because you could get, if you wanted to start playing the game, you could get 200 free Atlas bucks out of it. I got 100 out of it as well. Anybody that did that program, and there's several different people that took good advantage of that program, and I'm glad it existed. It helped me get my coverage started in Atlas Earth as well as get myself started in Atlas Earth. But they are turning that off, which I hope they have something new to replace it. Most games at this point in time have some kind of referral program, so I don't see the business logic in turning that off. Obviously, fiscal logic says they're saving money off of it. And also fiscal logic says, most businesses in the January timeframe try to make cost cuts, and we've seen some things go down, right? So, and figure, that's business logic, right? We could hope that they would announce these ahead of time and give us some time to, get things finished up, like these games that they turned off. Obviously that's going to save them a backlog of what they owed people or potentially owed people that they could earn through the games, right? But it would have been nice to hear hey, we're turning this off at the end of February. Any games you want to play, go ahead and, finish those out. But, okay. Hey, the King Queens is in the house. Welcome, KOQ President. Happy Blue Dolphin says, what updates? Base modified. We just talked about a few of them. Crystal says, I went on a road trip and made it to one badge away from the 20% boost. Oh, that would be so close. I would have to drive out of my way to just go get that badge, I can get to the last challenge on the reward ladder. It has been very slow for me this month. I was pretty slow too. I'm looking at my calendar. I ended up finishing the rewards ladder this week, and I believe it was on the 22nd. Yeah, it was on the 22nd return, Thursday or Friday. I believe it was Thursday. So it took me 22 days to finish the ladder. And, I was in the same position as most of you. I had several of my challenges that were just clogged up, like with city, state, country badge, and then travel and stuff like that. So I was following along and doing the mini games as they popped up. That's a slow mo because they don't give you a whole lot of points per challenge, right? And it was just kind of like since they've stretched them out over the month more, it's like pulling your hair out. Is it challenging? I would say more grating on my nerves, but then I ended up having to do 3 amp missions, which luckily I have a sandwich shop by my work that I like getting a sandwich at once a week, so that helped me complete it this week, but it's definitely taken a lot longer. Which also is another business decision that they've done, put into place as far as busting the challenges up smaller, giving you more challenges and paying you less points on the challenge ladder per challenge, right? And the whole goal is to stretch have people more involved with the challenges over the month. Like I said, all this, I try to look at it from a business perspective as well as a player perspective, and give my take on both sides. I can see it from the business perspective, from a player's perspective. It's not my favorite, right? So SXH Legends in the house says, I'm at 674 parcels right now. Well, nice. Sounds like you're chugging along. Had to get my windshield replaced on my Bronco this week, and whenever I was getting the stickers put back on, it was just down the road from my house. I walked across the street and bought up some more property, just to give myself a little bit more cushion. I am at, I had this screen pulled up. I'm finally over $50 a month. I'm at almost $53 a month now, $1.74 average, and I'm at 1,875 parcels now. So, and I think that places me at like 32 in Pennsylvania or something like that. Not that I'm really keeping track, but I was just kind of looking. Cerezi's in the house, a supporter of the channel. Good morning. We have a foot of snow already. Same here. I'm just doing the guesstimate by looking out. It's been very windy, and it's kind of hard to see. I usually use the trash can method. In other words, I got my trash and recycle bin out back, and I look out there, and if I go out, I'll take a ruler and just stick it on there down in the snow, and whatever's on the lid, of the cans. Today, that's not going to be accurate because the wind is just blowing around really crazy, and we got snow drifts against the garage and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun when I go out. Not really. The investor is here. Says, "Hi, sir. I was looking at the map around my city this week for the easier place to take a mayorship. Can we be considered the mayor if we don't have the badge?" Yes. In fact, the best strategy is to take over as mayor and then buy the badge. Now, to make sure, here's the deal. You have to have the mayorship and buy the badge and still be the mayor as of midnight of that day to get your points back from the own badge that you just bought, right? So here's the thing. If you take over as mayor, you need to take over with a cushion so somebody can't come in and just buy and a cushion, I mean by 15 or 20 parcels, because then if you take over and you buy the badge and then somebody 15 minutes later puts another parcel down and you don't come back and retake it, then they'll get your badge money. You see what I mean? So you have to be the mayor of that area midnight that day that parcel is bought to be able to get your 20 Atlas bucks off the own badge that you just bought. Hope that's clear as mud. The investor goes on to say, or is it mandatory even if you have the most parcels in that place? No, it's not mandatory. You can become a mayor and not even have the badge. So like I said, the best thing is take over as mayor, have a cushion, buy your badge, and after midnight, you'll get the points for that badge that you bought off yourself. Or 20 Atlas bucks, that is. Southern Coin Hunter says the rain here in South Louisiana is moving north to turn into snow. Yeah. Just be glad it's not snowing down by you. I have a cousin that lives in the panhandle of Florida, and it was snowing this last week in the panhandle of Florida. I mean, she's posting pictures on Facebook. I'm like, that's crazy. I lived in New Orleans, outside New Orleans, for about a dozen years, and I think it snowed once. It was just a little bit of snow, but it was enough snow to make people go crazy. I'm like, this is like nothing, and people are going crazy around there. The investor says it's negative 22, but feeling like negative 28. And I'm taking that, since you're in Canada, that's in Celsius. Up in Canada, Happy Blue Dolphin says, that's cold. I haven't checked my thermometer, but it's pretty low here, but I don't think it's that low. Happy Blue Dolphin says, that's what I usually do. Wait for the update notification. I'm kind of, since I'm in IT, I'm kind of a stickler on manually checking for updates to apps and stuff, because that's really the first. If you run into a problem with an app or a program, whatever it is, on your computer or on your devices, it's generally best to make sure that your operating system is up to date and then the app is up to date. Those are the two things I do first whenever I'm running into a problem with the program, because usually that'll resolve it. Lady Sharon says, that's not how that works. I've never made a purchase, and I've gotten bonuses before in the bonus line that are not purchase related. Well, I didn't know that. I hardly ever get that bonus line on the apps that I download. So I inferred that since they were on the purchase line, they required purchasing. So thank you for that. She goes on to say, but also now I need to check because I did have a game that had no expiration, and admittedly, I haven't played it in a while, though. KOQ says, there's been a lot of discussion on the 150K SRB cap forced update, and further discussion of alternatives, but no progress on this after a whole week. The whales have said no, it's not set in stone. Okay, that's interesting. I was wondering how that was going, what was going on with that. I've just really not said a whole lot on that other than what I put out as the video because, I just wanted to stay on the sidelines and see what happened. I can just see what the official announcement was from the business. Southern Coin Hunter says, oh, I did finish the ladder this past Monday. Nice. Donnie S. says, hello and good evening from the Netherlands. Good evening to you as well. Donnie, thanks for dropping by. Proud Mama's here. Welcome. Lady Sharon says, I am glad that I'm able to do the referral last year with you because that's how I found you to begin with. I saw the referral thing and I wanted somebody who was actively talking about Atlas Earth to use. Well, yeah, that's the whole point to having referral programs in games. It helps games out. But I'm guessing that, one, either they decide it was too big of a cost and they've already got a bunch of people downloading it, so they're going to do away with it and save money. Once again, January Save Money Month, right? Two, they have a new plan in the works, and this is just a guess. I'm just kind of guessing what the alternatives are. Maybe they have a new thing in the works that will be wound into the new UI update. And I haven't heard any details or anything mentioned on this, just a guess. Or three, that their version of the referral program is going to be that one Atlas buck people can donate to people that are posting on the feed, which I don't have a whole lot of hope for. I mean, I'm sure it'll be there. I just don't have a whole lot of hope off of making much off of that, I will say that a lot of games, even big games much bigger than Atlas Earth, have referral programs. Of course, those games do not pay out actual money to people, so there's a lot more to be considered in that level, So there's a lot to think about. I haven't heard anything from anybody on this other than the fact that it was, it's being sunsetted at the end of January. 5 days, looking at the calendar. So Sharon goes on to say, I'll probably mention this again, but my first year anniversary is next week. I started at the very end of January. Well, you should do a little video and do a wrap up of your first year in Atlas Earth. Or at least talk about it on your live stream. I want to stop by your live stream, but your live streams seem to be after my bedtime for some reason. You must be a night owl. Either that or just in a different time zone than me. Oh, yeah, you're in Colorado, right? That would make sense. Every time I wake up in the morning, I'll get the email that'll say, Lady Sharon went live. I'm like, oh, I was in bed. Crypto Limbo says, hey, Dragon, does the 150 K cap really hurt anyway? Technically, not at this point. That's the technical answer. Okay. The extrapolation of that is, especially the King of Queens and some other people at the top end. I'm not even going to get into it. Okay. There's a lot going on. And, there's a lot to be said about, does it technically affect, or does having a big change in the game that happens and, there was no real forewarning, affect how people think about the game. So there's a lot of things wrapped up in that. But to answer your question, as of now, technically no. But I can tell you this, King of Queens is sitting here, and it's definitely affecting the way he's positioned himself in the game and how he's going to go forward. Shaman 15 says, King of Queens, that Wales meeting was a total shock. The things that Sami said, it's hard to believe a CEO of a company the size of Atlas Earth is that immature of a leader with a 6.5 to 7 BE not feasible. Wow. Donnie says, I stopped with the Challenge Ladder membership. I only do 3 mini games a week and boost during the 50 times. I'm now at 770 parcels. Well, that's interesting. I've heard a lot of people talk about maybe or actually stopping the Challenge Ladder membership. And if the challenges get harder, I would say that I'm going to have to relook at it and do a video on it. Because it's definitely been pulled out and definitely made a lot harder. And I think what I'm spending to actually finish, I'd have to go back. Like I said, I did 3 AMP missions, and I did 2 levels of convert rent to Atlas bucks. So I'd have to go back and look at it, but it's progressively getting harder, and a lot of people are thinking about or actually turning off their Challenge Ladder subscription. Mine is still on for the time being. I haven't, like I said, I haven't went in with the year subscription. I know you could save 8%, but this is really the reason why I don't go in on those year subscriptions, because the business can make a change that you don't necessarily agree with, and then you're still, they've got your money, right? Which is kind of where the King of Queens is right now. You know, he put all this money into the game, and yeah, they've got his money. So Crypto Limbo says, I have 290 parcels and have made $520. Nice. I'm sitting at 1850 or whatever, and I've made $742. 500 and some odd dollars of that is profit. Poker Mouse, first of all, thanks for the super chat. Says, evening bronze, just arrived back, going to listen in on my way to work and catch up. Well, have a good time at work, if you can have a good time at work, right? Hopefully your day is manageable, not crazy. The investor says, it was clear. Thank you very much. You are quite welcome. KOQ says, the whales meeting on the SRB cap was disappointing. The whales came together and spent time to share thoughts, propose alternatives, even preparing a full document, reasonable concerns. It's not done. Okay. Be sure and keep us up to date on what's going on. Otherwise, we won't hear about it. Crypto Limbo says, I believe Atlas Earth is just a homebrew app that got some success. It ran on a skeleton crew and has no official office, so people shouldn't bet the bank on the game. This is true. I mean, he's announced that before. It was more of a proof of concept, and they're upgrading the art because, you know, one of the reasons I think is, to your point, is they could probably make it run better using the new art, requiring less compute out of the phones and stuff. It has proven to take off. It did take off, so it's clear that they're making changes this year. You know, so all last year we were basically promised several updates that most of them didn't happen, but with the rework or the redo of the artwork in Atlas Earth, for lack of a better description, in South Africa, we can just look forward to that, and hopefully the testing goes well. And I agree with you. Your secondary point was that you know, you shouldn't use it as an investment, which clearly some people have. But there's some other things going on behind the scenes. You know, it's clearly written into the terms of service, but just because they're written in terms of service doesn't necessarily make it legal, right? So either way, there's a lot of things going on in the background, how marketing was done, things like this. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And as always, I treat it as a game. And what we talk about on this channel is strategy to try to make more money efficiently from the game, and not having to come out of pocket. So as always, nothing in my coverage is considered investment advice. I am not an investment advisor. I'm just a game player. In fact, I bought a PlayStation 3 because I was tired of these huge prices and I'm not really a console gamer, but I'm getting ready to put out an episode on that, so you'll see that if you're interested in retro slash modern gaming. I was an Xbox guy back in the day, and I just wanted to experience some of those cool retro slash modern games that was available on PlayStation only before I kicked the bucket. So I know that's not Atlas Earth related, but it's gaming related, so fair game. Lady Sharon says, that's not a bad idea, of course. I don't have video editing stuff, and I don't like putting my face out there. Um, you can do it with it. You can do a faceless channel. I mean, Annalise does hers without putting her face on. You can download OBS and watch a few videos and get up and running. OBS is kind of, I guess, it's not the easiest thing to learn, but watch a few. There's tons of videos on YouTube about how to use it, and you could get up and just create a few slides with the verbiage that you want to talk about, like I do on a lot of mine, and you just throw the slides up, or Annalise throws up some video of walking out in the woods or something like that, whatever you want to do. Although don't go out in this and in this snow and walk unless it's much better over by you, right? Lady Sharon says, for those who don't know, I go live on Twitch for Splinterlands, which is the other game that Bronze Dragon talks about. Yeah, she does live stream on that now. So, Havo Theus says, I disagree with the challenge ladder getting harder. Just do the challenges. You can still get it done within 2 weeks. I guess it depends on how they pop up for you. I did the challenges and it took me 22 days, so. George Foster says, do you plan to buy the Explorers Club now that you're making $50 a month and has more perms than the challenge ladder? No, I'm not putting $50 a month into it. No. With the changes that they have started coming, the overarching feeling, that I'm getting is that, a lot of the stuff that they're doing now is a solid business decisions, right? But that also leads to me to wonder is what's the next solid business decision that may or may not decrease what we're earning in the game. So to directly answer you, no, I'm not going to be putting $50 a month into the game. I know there's lots of people that do. I also know that there's a lot of people reconsidering the money that they put into the game now. So like I said, my goal has always been to stay in the green and efficiently move forward with my Atlas Earth, my mayorships and everything I earn in the game while not going into the red by putting money into the game. So, Average Clothing Roblox. What a heck of a name. Says, hey, Dragon, I used your referral code and I am very close to getting the 200 Atlas Bucks bonus. I'm a new player and I'm not sure what's the best way to start so I can maximize my earnings. Any tips? Well, there's a lot of videos on my channels about this. So look at my backlog of videos under the Atlas Earth playlist on my channel. I would advise that. Second of all, if you want to get that 200 Atlas Bucks, I would say you need to do it in the next 5 days before the end of the month. Otherwise, it gets turned off and you're not going to get those 200 Atlas Bucks. This is not from me. This is from the game. Okay. So that's a big change that just got announced this past week. And it was like a lingering change because they had taken the referral program and stuff out of the game last year some point. And they were just allowing people to use the old codes and still get credit for it. And they're sunsetting it at the end of this month. It was announced. So if you're new to the game, you got to get it in the next 5 days. And I'm having to go back and take that referral code out of all my videos. And hopefully it's not too much of a problem. But yeah, they won't work anymore. So Brandon is here, but a half hour late. And late to the game. Sorry, slept too late. Oh, it's always good to get a good sleep in. I wish I could sleep in like that. My brain just automatically wakes me up early. I need to reload YouTube. Hopefully I did not drop. I just lost a connection. Okay. I think everything's good. Havothea says people choose not to do the rent conversions and or AMP. I do the AMP and I do the first 2 levels of rent conversions. So yes, in that, if you choose to spend a bunch of money in the game to complete the challenge ladder faster, that's fine. But I've set various, what do I want to say, road marks as far as what I want to spend, because every time you do that AMP program, that's spending money. Every time you transfer rent into Atlas bucks, that's spending money in the game. So, and to tell you the truth, I'm averaging it out, or I'm comparing it against what I have been doing, because all of this has kind of been consistent. I will say that over the last several months, I'm spending a lot more time in mini games though. But it's always been kind of my average to do like 3 AMP visits a month and to do the first 2 levels of the rent to Atlas buck conversion for the challenges. Southern Coin Hunter says, I do not agree with the country challenge. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that usually it comes up and it's just blocking a level, one of your challenges, because most people have their country bought. And I would hazard a guess that most people don't travel out of country too often. I guess if you're in Europe and you live in a country that's smaller and you go back and forth, it's easier, but still, that's just one other country. Then you're still in the same position, right? There are some people at the top end of the game that fly around and are rich and stuff like that. That's fine, but those people, we're at the top of the ladder as far, we have the 101 badges. So, I mean, is it worth buying another badge just to get 25 points or whatever it is? Lady Sharon says, and I went on about like 9 or 10 o'clock recently just because of timing in real life. Also, I had updated my background stuff on the OBS. I will endeavor to go live earlier. Everyone keeps talking about the whales meeting. When I first saw your video, is things I was going to comment and didn't because my comment was actually too long. Whales don't end up sinking the game. We're taking him to court or something. Yeah, I'm not discussing any of that. If I leave that up to KOQ and Shaman and whoever wants to talk about it, but I'm not talking about it. Crypto Limbo says, I do enjoy the app and the community. All people I've contacted or have been exposed to are usually helpful and kind. That's nice. Even the whales seem to be good people. Yep. The people in this community, generally speaking, I've met more good than bad. KOQ says, just curious, has anyone here participated in or know of any actual players who participated and competed in the Atlas games? Nope. I don't. I was invited to that first one. When they were setting it up, I turned it down because it involved being physical. Not that I'm out of shape or anything, but I don't want to do something dumb like go get in some kind of competition, give myself a heart attack or something like that, and I said, hey, I'd be willing to do the October one, which was the Halloween one in New Orleans. I'm like, yeah, I'd take a chance to go back down to New Orleans, but I never heard back from them, so... and then they put out the program to put your name in, which I don't know where it stands, but interesting. I would like to know if anybody knows anybody that's been on the show, because I understand your point behind the point there. Crypto Limbo says they seem like actors to me. Yep. Commander Eddie said, I had noticed your position on the ranking list was based off your name alphabetically. If I had the same number of parcels as another player, they would be higher than me. Yeah, but still, the whole goal is just to get more parcels than them. Even if you're just, right above them, you have the same parcels. It doesn't really mean anything. And competition on the board doesn't really mean anything at this point anyway. It's just kind of bragging rights, I guess. Annalise says, it is based on who got to that number first. Okay. That's kind of like being a mayor. So if you have the exact same parcel count as somebody else in your mayorship and they are the mayor, then you're not going to take over from them until you have one more than them. Seaton says the changes that were made for the 150K parcel change make the game more sustainable for them to keep going, giving everyone else money. The whales need to stop complaining about it. Commander Eddie goes on to say, my badges didn't matter. I was level 5 and they were 3. Yeah, I don't understand. I think I need to re-log into my chat app because whenever it blanked out because of the YouTube made me reload, I lost the chat conversation. So let's hope that this works. I heard it sounds like the snow has changed to like a little bit of sleet because I can hear the pellets hitting the window. Brandtastic says, I'm starting to use my rent to help put down my credit card debt to my PayPal credit card. Nice. That's nice. That's nice. It's always good to pay down debt. Well, I'm sure there are physical people out there that can give a few examples when it's better to incur debt. But myself, with my basic understanding of my finances and high credit score, I've always found it best to just pay down your debt. Shaman 15 says, Seaton, tell me how you came to that determination. Per the CEO, it has nothing to do with that, only to be fair. Okay, well, we're about 1:15, and chat has shut out. Am I still live? People just stopped talking. Maybe it's the discussion topic that's kind of. King of Queens says the savings on cutting off earnings to whales over 150K parcels is tiny compared to the $8 million revenue they generate annually. They already have all of our money up front. That is worth more. This is true. Yeah, it's weird that I'm seeing some chat pop up, and it's maybe people have just stopped discussing. Southern Coin Hunter says, I am Dave Ramsey person and do not have a credit card. Well, I do have a credit card, and I just basically try to use one, and we just try to keep it under control. We pay it off every month, and we've become, especially since I was talking to my family about this, about the use of cash, because like I'll have some money in my pocket because it's always good to have money in your pocket, right? Just in case you need it. But it's like I have the same money in my pocket for months because I never use it because I usually use a credit card. Now, I'm not saying that's best, but I'm saying that that's the point we are in society. And I think that was largely exacerbated by COVID, right? Because people didn't want to touch money. And even that, the younger generation have gotten out of carrying money. Most of what they do is charge and, use Apple Pay and Google Pay and things of this nature, which I don't use. But I do use PayPal. SHS Videographer says, good morning. Good morning to you as well. KOQ says, it was a measure introduced out of fairness and not for financial sustainability reasons. Well, yeah. What I can say is the businesses I've been involved with, it's a very common thing in the January timeframe to look at ways and examine ways in your business that you can make savings within the budget and business. So None of this surprises me. So um, we can just take it for what it is, and good luck to the people talking about it. Um, Lady Sharon says, I do have OBS. That's how I'm streaming Twitch. I'm trying to see about YouTube. Like, can I make a recording with OBS without actually streaming? Yeah, you can record straight in OBS, and it's just like on your computer as a file, and then you can take it. And if you have a YouTube channel, you can upload it like I do my regular videos. So I stream through OBS, but I also record through OBS for, general videos. What I'd say is just look up some, these teaching channels on YouTube, and they can probably answer these questions much better than I'm answering. I've used it for years, but it's one of those programs where I probably only use a small percentage of it. It's like it's like my Bronco. It does so many different things inside. I probably just use it for a very small percentage of what the vehicle can probably do, right? Southern Coin Hunter says, I use Cash to look for coins with errors and make videos on them. Yeah, I've been watching a few. I'm a member of a Reddit about, it's interesting, people talking about interesting um, coins and paper bills that are like misprints or for some reason worth a lot of money. So I find that's one of the things. I don't collect money, but I do find it interesting enough to read about people talking about it, collectors and such. Crypto Limbo goes on to say, I'm going to get my PayPal debit card so I can utilize my Atlas Earth income to purchase an electric bicycle. Nice. I will say, I think those electric bikes are cool. However, I will say that a lot of jurisdictions are cracking down on them and their usage on the roadways. As far as, first of all, they're a little bit dangerous and they can impede traffic. So be safe if you're going to get one. I think they're cool. Don't get me wrong. It's like I try to look at both sides of them, but be safe. Hey, Jay Long, member for 2 months. Hatchling, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Oh, I should mention that for those members of my channel, little pluggy plug, this Friday we will have our members only live stream. I need to get that. I'll put that out tomorrow, the invite, or I'll put it, set it up. It will be Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, if you want to drop by and hang out and talk. Brandtastic says, can you explain OBS? OBS is a program that if you want to make video recordings and put yourself up on YouTube, or if you want to stream on YouTube or Twitch or a number of other places, it's a program that does that. And you put it on your computer, and that's how you are able to record yourself. It does a lot of other things, like I said, but like I said, if you're interested in that, it would be chiefly because you want to start making recordings of yourself or streaming. Then look up some videos on YouTube. There's a lot of people that teach that kind of thing a lot better than I do. Although there's been a lot of people that I've got into streaming and got into YouTubing, so to speak, by I answer their questions on the side or whatever. I help them a little bit, but yeah, I'm not the best. Anne says, hit that like button, Earthlings. Please do like and subscribe. Like I always said, all that YouTube jazz. It all helps out. I appreciate it. Crypto Limbo goes on to say, collect pennies before they disappear. Yeah, they stopped printing pennies. I think that was just a matter of time, though, because it was costing the U.S. more to print the pennies than it was actually worth. It was costing more, from a metal point of view and, manpower and everything like that. So we are getting towards the top of the hour. So Brandon asks, is OBS free? It is. It's a freeware program. I think they allow for... I think it's one of those things where maybe it's free, but if you want some extra extra things added on top of it, you can pay for a subscription. I'm not sure. I've just been using the free version. And interestingly enough, I have this plugin is why I'm able to show what questions people are asking on the screen, and I was having a problem with showing emojis. Well, I downloaded a fix, but the fix, their end of the fix was making sure the emojis didn't end up showing on the chat when you click on it, but it takes out those weird characters that indicate that there was an emoji there. So that was their fix. I have to look further into that. Aaron says you can get pennies from the bank still. Interesting. So, like we said, not investment advice, but do you think it's worth going and buying like... I saw some people on the boards that were discussing, money collector, and some of them would go... They actually go to the bank and they cycle, money. They'll like go and buy $100 worth of dimes or something like that, just to try and go through those every week to find the old ones that are silver. I wonder if it would be worth just going and buying a bunch of pennies and just putting them away. I don't know. Ann says, hey, Southern Coin Hunter, my dad saved a 1909 VDB cent. I love Wheaties too. My mom used to collect wheat cents and the special dimes, I forget. Crypto Limbo says all pennies before 1982 contain copper. So the ones before 82 are not real, or after 82 are not real copper. Great to see you as well, Jay Long. Thanks for the support. The investor says, I'm just not sure I get the 150,000K new rule for parcels. Is it only the part above the 150K the income is lowered, like the tax bracket? So I did a video last week on it. Check that out. But to directly answer you, yes. Everything below 150K or up to 150K is covered by the 50 times super rent boost. Anything over that, then it immediately goes down to the 2 times multiplier, okay, which is where you would be at that point, right? So yeah, and I did the math in that video last week, so check it out if you're interested. Yeah. Brandtastic says, I hear that pennies are slowly going extinct, although it takes 6 cents to make a penny. Yeah, they turned them off. They are no longer producing pennies in the U.S., and most places are just not taking them anymore due to that fact. Yeah, so you have to, whenever you buy something, you just have to like round to the nearest 5 cents, I guess, if you're paying cash, right? Annalise says, only the ones above are lowered, like I just said. Yeah. So on this whole 150K thing, I put it out there in a video. I think it was a good business decision, like this turning off all the old games that didn't have a time limit on it. Obviously a good business decision to cut costs. I just think that, as in the case of the 150K cap, it could have been handled better, announced better, a little bit of forethought, as far as making these type of announcements. But it's clear that we're not going to get there's no real foreknowledge given out. Like, hey, prepare for this. That kind of thing does not exist in this game, right? It's just like, bam, surprise. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as a business, with the terms of service, they're perfectly in their rights to do what they do with their own game, right? That could be argued depending upon municipality, where you are. The laws are different, I'm not going to argue that. But I'm just looking at it from the player standpoint. You can look good to your players, or you can not look good to your players. Looking good increases outreach and increases your reach, more people coming into play games. Looking bad does the exact opposite. Okay. So this has been Bronze Dragon, and I'm going to go ahead and call it here today. But we had a nice amount of people here. Thanks for joining me on episode 45 of the Sunday afternoon sessions. And if you are caught in the storm, stay inside and stay nice and warm. And if you go outside, remember, if you go outside to snow blow or shovel snow, take breaks, because this, believe it or not, during big snowstorms, this is one of the biggest times of the year when people have heart attacks because they overwork themselves. Otherwise, as always, this has been Bronze Dragon. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy, and I'll see you in Atlas Earth.